live on YouTube as well. So welcome in here to this beautiful space for live storytelling, nourishment, solace, comfort, and so much more. So that's us live on YouTube as well. So welcome here to Zoom and YouTube too. So settle in, introduce yourself. Where are you dialing in from? And what's your name? My name's Eimear. I am here from Bonnie, Scotland, although I am from the lands of Ireland. And if you've been following my storytelling, you'll know all that as well. I am a trainer, a soul-based coach, and I help witches to rise up and return to your power. So it's so wonderful to be here. It's actually felt like a while since I've done a live webinar like this. So yeah, hello. So make sure you select everyone when you are writing in here. Hello, Helena, how are you doing? Beautiful woman opening a beautiful space. Oh yes, right back at you. Leslie Ann, hello, looking forward to your stories. Yes, so am I. Hello, Anisha here in Queens, New York. Wonderful. Hi, Michelle, and all the other wonderful souls here in Suffolk, UK. Yes. Helena, yes, let's return. Hello, Amara, magical wishes to you too. Wonderful. And let's see who's here over on YouTube. We'll say hello to you as well. I see there are a few watching, so you can connect and chat in the live chat too. Fantastic. So today, this webinar, it's all about resurrecting and reclaiming our power, and also feeling our gold within as a healing mechanism, as a soothing mechanism too. So I asked you to vote, and thank you to all of you who did vote. There was a unanimous top two, a draw actually for the first two that I'm going to read. So I've decided to read 4 of the stories for you. So you probably want to know, what are the stories that have been voted in by you from this 21-day writing series? So the first one unanimously was day 1, Good Girl. And tying with that was day 9, The Wounded Masculine in Me. Great. Then second in line, so I'm going to read those 2 first. Second in line, with just 1 less vote, was day 11, Grace. Wonderful. I've got my tissues here just in case, you know, any of this brings up emotions. And then finally, I'll read a 4th one, which is day 6, Returning Home to Love, which again was 1 vote less. So it was all very close. And some of you even voted just for all of them, which was wonderful as well. So thank you. That was very, very reassuring in that way. Magical wishes to you, Amara. Wonderful. Yeah, Leslie Ann, it was hard to choose, wasn't it? Which is why I asked all of you to choose for me as well. Michelle, yeah, that's because we're all good girls. So true. Hello, Willow. How are you doing? Greetings. So I thought it would be nice while we're here, gathered from all around the globe, if you do have a candle or something to light it with handy, I thought it would be wonderful to open this space, inviting in the element of fire to nourish us, to bring warmth, to soothe us, and also to recognize and remember all of those who are suffering at this time through war, heartbreak, separation, severance, grief, depression. To all those who are displaced at this time, forced to leave their homes, forced to flee, to find safety. And also to all of us here, stepping into this sacred space, connecting in this way, through the magical spells of story crafting and words. So welcome. We bring in the elemental of fire, and let's also call in the others: earth, air, water, as we walk this spiral path home to our truth, to our power. I also call in the witches whose whispers continue to guide me and many others on this journey, continue to prod and poke me to continue to speak and share and voice and maybe sing. I don't think there'll be singing today, so just to warn you. And I feel their support and power, imagining them now gathering around us in circle, holding hands as we are too, feeling our feet on the floor, connecting souls to soil, to earth, as we root in even deeper to this space, feeling the hum of Mother Earth as she sings us back to wholeness, and connecting in with our breath exactly as it is right now. Noticing your in-breath, that space, and your out-breath, as we are being breathed back to life again and again and again. And inviting your breath to fill you up, to flow through you, to awaken every cell in your body as it is infused with gold. Because you are gold. And today is all about resurrecting and awakening your gold. So welcome here again, and welcome Francesca. It's lovely to have you here from Italy. And Willow, you are in Ontario in Canada. Fantastic. Shall we begin? Story number 1. Oh, hello, Kristen from San Diego over on YouTube. And hello to everyone else on YouTube. So yeah, today is actually going to be in 3 parts that I've decided to call Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. So our first part, for roughly 20 minutes, we'll have our storytelling live. Now, I haven't read these stories out loud yet, because when I'm writing, it's mostly in silence and walking. So this will be the debut, the premiere of storytelling live. How privileged we all are. Act 2, I will summarize and just refresh on the whispers of the witches. I've called it the Whispers of the Witches Revisited, just to tell more of their story and invite their presence in even more vividly and vibrantly. And then Act 3 is all about resurrecting your gold. And I will share with you my newest program, Mentorship for Witches. So if you feel the call, stay on. And I feel we'll be done by the hour-ish. So I invite you to sink in to storytelling time, to Irish time, stepping on the spiral path. Hi, Pauline, how are you doing? From Bonnie Clydebank in Scotland. Helena, yes, a mentorship for witches. Yep, pure fire. Absolutely. Michelle, so excited to feel the power live. Yes. And Willow, Act 1 on. Oh, yes. Hello, Safria. Have I pronounced you right? Safia from Safra. Oh, in South Africa. Gorgeous. Beautiful. We're spanning the globe, or part of it anyway. Story 1 from the story series Resurrection, the exploration of birth, death, and rebirth in the Irish tradition. As written by an Irish woman, myself, Eimear. Day 1, Good Girl. I've been told the story many a time that when I was learning to walk, I would raise my arms above my head whilst my parents said, "Good girl, good girl," beaming with joy and encouragement as their third daughter took her first wobbly steps in her little red shoes. Arms raised, toes outstretched, and off I would go, on demand, anytime the good girl button was pressed, awakening the performer within me as I stepped out with style. So I thought this story would lead me smoothly into dramatic tales of a heroic nature, of grand gestures in shedding my good girl garments and breaking free of her cultural constraints, of twists in the tale and global rounds of applause as this good girl stands in the spotlight of her own becoming whilst being born anew. 3 cheers for shedding the good girl, we would all exclaim in unison. However, before any of that can or even needs to happen, the good girl within me wishes to speak. The good girl within me wishes to have a voice for her role in the spiral of my life. The good girl kept me safe. The good girl showed me how to follow the rules. The good girl demonstrated her deep listening and receptive skills. The good girl reminded me of my love of education and learning. The good girl taught me manners. The good girl encouraged me to practice the piano, black after white, note after note, until the piece was complete. The good girl encouraged me to raise my hand, even with the risk of being called a swat or teacher's pet by some classmates. Ooh. The good girl didn't like being called a swat or a teacher's pet. The good girl spoke up with a yes, always wanting to help. The good girl taught me the discipline of study. The good girl role modeled humility. The good girl rewarded me with good grades and praise. The good girl prayed with me as I bowed my head and professed my Catholic sins, promising to be even better version of the good girl next time. The good girl stayed silent, pushing down her emotions with great strength. The good girl ran to her childhood room to sulk and spew and cry her anger and rage when she didn't get her own way. As I grew up, my dad would tap me on the crown of my head saying, "Good girl, Colleen Ma," a little reminder of who she is within me. It feels like a relief now to invite the good girl to the table, to share her voice and integrate this part of me home. The good girl button, it's still a part of me. However, it's not so available to be pressed on demand anymore. Meanwhile, a new kind of good girl is being born. To the good girl in all of us, and all the good within you that asks for your intentional attention too. Le Gras with love, Eimear. Ah, the good girl. 3 cheers for the good girl. Thank you. Just let that settle a moment. Remembering those words and the good girl and how they resonate for you or for anyone here. Yeah, it is sweet, isn't it? 3 cheers for the good girl. Valerie, hi Valerie on YouTube. I can resonate with the SWAT part. Yeah. Okay. Day 9. This is the tie with the good girl. It's the wounded masculine in me. I love all your cheers for the good girl. Yay. The wounded masculine in me. I live on a battleground, the supposed site of the Battle of Falkirk, 1298. One of the major battles in the First War of Scottish independence. William Wallace roused his men armed with bows and arrows to fight the English army, who outnumber the Scots 3-1, had bigger bows, pointier arrows, and a better strategy drawn up by King Edward I. Edward's aim being to annihilate, is that how you pronounce it? Annihilate the Scottish force in order to end the rebellion of William Wallace. Such brutal words, Edward. This strategy of higher, bigger, pointier, better paid off for the English, since the Scots were defeated and William Wallace fled for the Highland Hills. I hated history as a subject in school. I was uncharacteristically unruly and obnoxious during class. The antithesis of the good girl from day 1's piece of writing. Antithesis. That's quite hard to say. Easier to write. I found it excruciatingly boring, reading stories of bloodshed, victory or defeat, learning about war upon war, of winners and losers, gruesome deaths, of domination, suppression, and power over. I didn't give a damn who won the war of the day, season, year, or century. It's only now that I'm beginning to understand. My soul didn't want to know. It was too painful to see. The myriad of ways over lifetimes the wounded masculine played out in me. The times I wielded the sword, fueling anarchy, inflicting pain, injury, and death in the name of victory. The wounded masculine in me reflects the wounded masculine in society. He's rising up to be seen, witnessed, and set free. The wounded masculine in me yearns for divinity. He's tired of going to war. He's opening to evolutionary strategies. The wounded masculine in me is so sorry for being obscene. He's desperately searching the rubble for fragments of respectability. The wounded masculine in me is feeling like a hostage. He's asking for forgiveness to be freed by society. The wounded masculine in me is taking responsibility. He wants to be shown the way to step forth in unity. The wounded masculine in me is asking for your prayers. He's laying down his weapons with a battle cry of peace and harmony. The wounded masculine in me is pleased to speak his voice. He's happy with this audience now and feeling more at ease. Thank you for reading and listening. With love, Eimear. Wow. Yeah, that one was another surprise in how it became that poem. And it's just amazing when you're writing and your mind thinks you're going to go down a particular route, and then, oh no, your soul wants to speak and express in another way. So, to the wounded masculine in me and how that has been played out in our world. And to the wounded masculine being set free, laying down his weapons. And thank you. Hello, Jamie. Hi, Denise. I think of myself as a badass good girl. Oh, I love that. Bit of a paradox going on there. Pauline, now you're a witch, so a very bad girl. Oh, yes. Yes. But I'm not going to be burnt at the stake this time round. Thank you very much. Okay, what is next? Oh, Valerie, yes. I saw the size of the history book for the leaving certificate. So that's Ireland's like higher exams. One look at its thickness and I changed subjects. So that was a very good idea. I actually found my history book when I was rummaging through my mother's attic last summer. And honestly, the scribbles, I was drawing faces on all the people and honestly down all the margins, I'm bored. So I was obviously very bored. Willow looking for the heroic masculine to reclaim me. Oh, I love that. I love how you play with the words and reframe them. It's gorgeous. Okay. Story number 3 of 4 in this live reading. Day 11, Grace. I visited Kilmainham Jail in Dublin a few years ago with my mum and children. Now a museum, it's where the execution of the leaders of the Easter 1916 Rising in Ireland took place. 14 men individually faced the firing squad of 12 soldiers over the course of a few days. The gunshots reverberating off the stony grey walls of the stonebreakers' yard for all the prisoners, guards and soldiers to hear. A rising in the name of freedom, equality and independence that called forth a revolution. I remember reading that Countess Markievicz, an Irish politician at that time, ordered the people to grab their guns and fight. As I stood in that yard, I felt the chills of what played out within their confines. Now history, I do feel aggrieved all over again. A story that moves me every single time is about the marriage of Grace Gifford to Joseph Mary Plunkett in the tiny chapel at Kilmainham Jail. They had 15 minutes together under supervision as newlyweds. He was executed the following morning. During the tour of the jail, I sought out the tiny little plaque on the chapel wall and paid my respects to their union. Love in the midst of violence, bloodshed, and death. When I watch the news and feel the density of these times we're living in, when I look at my children and my family, I feel this upsurge within me, an upsurge of anger that's rising with the fury. I am the protectress mother. I am here to protect my children and my family, come what may. Come closer and you'll see my claws and bared teeth as my rumbling growl becomes my battle cry. Power in the wrong hands becomes the most toxic kind of power. When my children ask why no one is stopping him, why no one is arresting him, I too feel this urge to fight for the love of the land, for the love of fellow humans, for the love of my family. And what follows that anger is grief. Grief for the land, grief for my fellow humans, grief for my family. There are no winners in war. Bullets kill. Unaddressed trauma becomes embedded for centuries to come. May we return to grace and love. What about you? What's rising within you with grace? Eimear. Thank you. Ooh, that's a powerful one. Yeah. I get shivers too, and it's an amazing tour if you're ever in Dublin, and want to feel called to go on that tour of Kilmainham Jail. Yeah, it is an amazing tour. Very powerful and evocative. Final story. Returning home to love. This was day 6. I'm reading them in the order of the highest to the lowest votes in the top 3, 4. Okay. A healer visited my father in the hospital where he was being treated for cancer 28 years ago. I arrived in to see him just as the healing session had come to an end. I remember the healer looking downwards and not making eye contact with me. And I remember my father, cheeks aglow, smiling and his eyes raised up and pointing to the white hospital ceiling with his pale hand. He uttered the word, resurrection. There was a certain aura about him, like this afterglow of protection from the healing session, as if he was being held in a bubble of peace, of readiness, of acceptance for his journey ahead, onward from his mortal body to spirit body. He was ready. This was his time. He took his final breath a few days later in the presence of his family. It was an early departure, nonetheless, for us flesh and bone mortals that would lead to our individual and unique grieving journeys. Resurrection. It was the last word I remember my father uttering out loud. He had gifted me a clue for me to consciously connect with and weave into my life when it was time. So I went online to look up the etymological meaning of the word resurrection. Here are a few. Arising again from the dead, rise again, appear again, rise again, lift oneself, be restored, to stand up or rise up. I recently read Freddie Silva's book called The Lost Art of Resurrection. I recommend it. In it, he speaks of the ancient practice of living resurrection, in which initiates ritually died and were reborn into a state of higher consciousness. Throughout the world, our ancient ancestors practiced this craft within their mystery schools. Initiates were led through a series of challenges, retreated for 3 days into the cave or restricted room, and connected with the other world, the cosmos, to return renewed, reborn. Living resurrection is said to have been revived by the Knights Templar. This practice opened the path to self-empowerment and higher consciousness. It is time. We are being called to rise up beyond the density of these times, to release those parts of ourself that are no longer serving us, and to gift them back to the Mother who is waiting with arms outstretched, to remember who we are as we return to our full and wholesome power that resides within each one of us, waiting patiently to be reconnected with. We are being born anew and returning home to love. Resurrect. Stand up. Rise up. Le Gros with love. Eimear. Oh, and there we have it. Our 4 stories from the top 3 voted. Thank you for listening and for being here. Kristen has said, so powerful, I could feel that one. Valerie, the word grace keeps popping up for me. Yeah, it is so powerful. Resurrect, I on, and renew all. I love that. Rise up and love, powerful. Thank you, Michelle. Grace, beautiful. I can sing the song sometime if you like, but I heard no singing today. Thank you, Pauline. That would be amazing. Oh, Leslie Ann, amazing and emotional. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all. So much needed inspiration right now. Thank you. Yeah, it really is the power of writing and telling stories, such an ancient practice. And I just love bringing this back to life as well. It's what we would have done. It's part of our heritage. It's how the lore and the ancient law was passed on. It's how all the mythology survived through this oral Shanachie storytelling tradition. So I'm very grateful for that. Anisha, I love the longing in these stories, always wanting to hear more and more. Oh, that's gorgeous. Yeah. It's like a good book, isn't it? It's like you want to read it quickly, but you don't want it to end. Thank you for your words, Amara. You're so welcome. What a beautiful way to spend a dark and wet afternoon. You have brought light into my day. Oh, that's wonderful, Michelle. Yes, sending light to all of you. Gorgeous. So that's the end of Act 1. You may take a break and go get some interval ice cream and popcorn, as if we're at the theatre. And come back for Act 2. So what I thought I'd do is just to speak into a little bit about the witches. And I know many of you have followed me for a while. Michelle, do you not come round for it with ice creams? Well, yeah, the ice cream van is on the way. So yeah, if you hear us, that's me. Go get your ice cream. It's actually a bit cold for ice cream here. The witches. What have the witches got to do with this? They have a lot to do with this, I can tell you. So yeah, many of you, if you've followed me for a while, you'll know the story of the witches, but they wanted a bit more of it to be told today. Not even a bit more, just to bring it in to the storytelling. So when that flame of remembrance was ignited within me on that Edinburgh Dungeon tour back in the 8th of August, 2020, the Lion's Gate. And it's like this fiery roar ran through me as this flame ignited this remembrance, a rebirthing, really, of who I have been in many past lives and who I am now and what I am being called to bring forth for these times. And it really was a boundary drawing. It was a no. I am not going to testify. I am not going to speak against my sisters and brothers. And I am not going to be killed this time round or silenced once again. So when I sought out the witches' well, that small memorial in honour of the 300 witches burnt at the stake on the Edinburgh Castle Esplanade, what flowed through me was rage and an upsurge of grief. And also there was something else, a disbelief, actually, that I'd lived so long in Edinburgh and had not known about these goings-ons of this history, this her story, amongst the grandeur of the castle, this fortress, this impenetrable fortress, and all the statues. It's got quite a patriarchal feel, actually, to the city when I looked at it in new eyes. It's very beautiful, World Heritage Site, and yeah, can feel dense. So this surge at the Witches' Well Memorial was like I was being cleansed. So fire and water flowing through me, cleansing me, and erupting, bursting forth this poetry, this creativity that I didn't know what to do with. So that's why I created the summit initially, Healing the Witch Wound Summit. And then this poetry and storytelling had a container where I could express myself in, which is what I did with all the speakers. It's really beautiful. And then I thought that would be it. I could file it away under W and move on to the next letter of the alphabet in order, or, in whatever way. And when I went back to Edinburgh months and months later, that's when I collided with the bin, the litter bin. And on the litter bin, on the way up to the castle esplanade, were the words torch. And you couldn't make this up, could you? Torch in white lettering against the grey bin background. And in that moment, I knew, well, first of all, I was hearing the words torch, torch her. And it was as if people were sticking their heads out the windows of the terraced houses, shouting at me, hurling abuse, throwing tomatoes at me and other awful things. And I knew in that moment, I am a torch holder. I hold the torch, and I am the torch. Here's my torch here. And I'm handing the torch to you, who's also the torch holder and the torch. And it gives me this power over and over. And this flame of remembrance never goes out. It might flicker high and low, but it never goes out. And their mantra that was gifted to me at the Witch's Well: witches, rise up, return to your power. Witches, rise up, now is the hour. Witches, rise up, step on to your throne. Witches, rise up, it's time to come home. And it's just like it deepens and deepens and continues. And into the second summit, the Witches Rise Up Summit, because it was my voice that was so blocked and silenced and severed. There's a line in a book called The Dubliners by James Joyce. It's the only line I've read, to be honest. And it says, Mr. Duffy lived a short distance from his body. And I just love that, as the severance, how disconnected I had become, my head with my body. And this rising up and reconnecting is about returning home to body, home to roots, home to the land, home to the soil, home to what's native to me, to you, home to the stories, the myths, the language, everything else, the wind, the sea, the earth, fire. And to invite you all around the fire now, as we are gathered here to tell stories. And once that voice, it continues to clear, it just becomes much more natural to show up and speak, and to trust that whatever's alive is the right thing to share in that moment, without second guessing or thinking, oh, did I say the right thing? Is that the right one? And without scripting it as well. It's very liberating. And this is the process, and the witches continue to prod, so to speak, in lovely, gentle ways. So with that, I'm loving your emojis and comments. I would love to move on to Act 3, which is sharing the newest program that has burst forth from the storytelling series. And it's actually something that's been seeding within me since the first summit, since Healing the Witch Wound Summit, which was actually my second summit. But that's been seeding since then, since December 2020. And the witches or whispering even louder to bring this forth. So it is a mentorship for witches, to plant a teaser there. But if you want to take a break and shake out anything that's stirred up for you, and we'll come back for Act 3 in a moment. This is where, if, you know, you listen to the podcasts and they have adverts coming in at this time. Yeah. I'm not as sophisticated as that. We can create our own adverts. Love the emojis, Willow. Bee ears. Yes, beers. Exciting. Gorgeous. Oh, gorgeous. Same over on YouTube. Okay, so my next program. I'm going to share my screen. First, I'll get up the right page. Okay. So this is the debut. Oh, Michelle, yeah, everyone, are you back? Are you back? Welcome back. Michelle's feeling scared that you'll be left behind. Why do I have that sense? Oh, of sadness. Oh, you are here. We will always wait for you. And welcome in the sadness as well that wants to be seen. Gorgeous. You're here. Fantastic. So here is my screen. Can you all see this? Resurrect Your Gold, mentorship for witches. So actually somebody, I think it was last year, asked if I do any kind of mentorship for witches. And it was something that I'd been thinking about and wanting to do, but it was like I needed to live and speak and deepen more before bringing this forth. So I'll share this with you, and I'll also put a link in the chat so that you can follow along. Now I'll see if I can put it over on YouTube as well. And hopefully you'll be able to see it there in the chat on YouTube for those of you. So this program, oh, it's disappeared because I've gone over to YouTube. Now you just have a lovely image of me, and I can't get back. Okay, I'm going to stop share for a minute so I can get back to where I was. We're back. We're back. Okay, there. I couldn't click on the right slide. So you are cordially invited, dear witch, or the witch within you, to join me and the witches, the Council of High Witches, to sink into this 6-month live online program called Resurrect Your Gold, mentorship for witches. It is carefully crafted and curated, especially for you, the witch within you. Will you heed the whispers of the witches? Those whispers calling you home. So Resurrect Your Gold, the inspiration comes from my father's last word of resurrection 28 years ago, and diving into that exploration of what that means for you, uniquely you. And gold as the most noblest, stable, highest resonance and vibration. As we, the leaders, the witches of the new earth, are being called to step in and to be in this vibration over and over again until we are naturally gold. So it is inviting an awakening of the gold within you that flows through your bloodlines. as well as awakening the spirit of the Celtic lands within you. So we invite in the Council of High Witches to support this sacred container. And we also invite in the Druids as well, because the program is going to start at the end of March and it's coming into equinox time. So it's going to run from spring equinox in the Northern Hemisphere to autumn equinox. And we will walk the witch's wheel home. So you can actually click on this image. I'm keeping the page very simple and elegant for you. You can click on the image here, or you can go straight to payment options if you wish, because this is open to 13 witches. I am calling in 13 witches. Are you one of those witches? And I can feel the circle of witches coming closer and stepping in to this container to gather round the fire, to meet weekly. We meet 3 times a month live, and then we have one free week for integration and deepening to happen. So it is live, it is about reconnecting. So it's the witches and the Celtic wheel, the witches wheel. It's the witches and the land. It's the witches dancing with the druids and coming back into equality and balance. It's the witches and the druids uniting once again around the round table in the woods, reclaiming our ancient nature for these times. So if you are seeking a community of witches, then this is the place to come. So are you a witch, medicine woman, intuitive, seer, gypsy, shaman, priest, wayfarer, trailblazer, torch holder, adventurer, explorer, activist, catalyst? Well, we're calling you to step into this space. Now, there is a lot of writing here, so I'm not going to read it all. I invite you to explore this yourself. And in a way, it's a mini booklet. It's an ebook for you as well to enjoy and to feel the activation from. So I will scroll down and share the curriculum so that you know. And it's also calling you to reclaim your soul, your lineage, starting by rooting into the gold of the ancestral lands in a deep, rich and meaningful way, so that we are rebuilding these elemental foundations and going deep into the land and inviting in the healing of our witch wounds or whatever else comes up as well. So if you know you are the protectress of Mother Earth, you are here to raise the frequency and to be that golden frequency, and you want the support and courage of witches in circle, then you're in the right place. So I am going to scroll down and bring up the actual curriculum of what we will be exploring in this time. Hopefully you're still here. So 3 90-minute meetings per month for 6 months. Meditation, storytelling, journaling, rituals, mantra. We have a community space in our Teachable Academy, which as well, and you will connect and really have a sacred relationship with the other witches in our circle. So spaces are limited to 13 witches. So we begin on the 30th of March with a Resurrect Your Gold spring equinox opening ceremony retreat. So the intention of this is that we arrive and can get to know each other. Because, you know, sometimes I find I'm on courses and I really want to get to know the people that are on the course even more deeply, because we're kindred spirits, we're soul friends. So this is a chance to do that in this retreat container and to invite in the energies of spring equinox. Connect to the land, the ancestors, the tree, and really feel that sacred calling of being the torch holder as a witch. Then spiral 1 will begin in mid-April into May to celebrate the spring equinox witch, inviting in the energy of Bowen, beautiful witchy goddess Bowen, and druid Dagda, to explore the witch's wheel and the sacred wells and all that Bowen brings forth. And you'll have heard me talk about Bowen before, and she is connected with Newgrange, Bruna Boyne, and also the River Boyne. She's a really beautiful, I feel her as this gorgeous maiden energy, and she's connected to the cow as well as goddess. And during this teachings, you will receive teachings on the mythology and whatever else. So I want to have space so that whatever else is flowing through you and me, that can be shared and invited into this container. Then spiral 2 is the Bealtaine witch. Bealtaine. Beal means bright, and Tina is fire, the bright fire. At this time, we are invited to step up onto our throne, celebrate Queen Maeve, who is to me like a warrior goddess holding her spear and being fierce and passionate and fully in her power. It's an invitation to wear your crown. You have to stand up tall when the crown is on, don't you? So we invite in the elementals, the sacred sites, and either the animals or the trees. And then spiral 3 is summer solstice witch, celebrating the chalice that was ours all along. It was never anyone else's to take away from us. Witch Anya, who is of the Grange Stone Circle, which is the most beautiful, powerful, biggest stone circle in Ireland. We invite her in and stand in the spotlight of our power. I just get so drawn in wanting to talk about each one of these, but it's just a synopsis for now. Spiral 4 is the Lunasa witch. This is all about the harvest, and Talchu is the mothering nurturer of the witches, in line with Druid Lu, whose namesake is contained in Lunasa. So it is about the grain, what you're harvesting, and really honoring and welcoming that in, being open to being nurtured and nurturing as well. And then spiral 5 is the autumn equinox witch, releasing, raging, letting go of whatever wants to be let go, and inviting in a relationship to deepen with Macha and her husband, Druid Crundon. Macha is associated with the horses and can run faster than any horse. In the end, it was her downfall, but we're going to be rewriting these stories for these times to support us. And then we'll have a closing retreat, dancing around the fires in celebration of all that has happened and come through for you in September 2022. So this is all online, and there's more bonuses. You get lifetime access to 6 key conversations that specifically support this program. So it's very focused in that support. We will have 3 guest speakers. I've got 1 confirmed right now and 2 more to come. And then a soul-based coaching session with me to resurrect your gold and really support that. Okay. So how are we doing with that? Your investment to resurrect your gold and really step in and say yes to this deep dive. So we've got payment options here. You can pay in full for £3,300 for the 6-month program. You can pay in installments of 3 over 3 months, and that's 1,100 per month for 3 months. And then you can pay in installments of six monthly installments of £550. So there's no VAT on top of that. So that is the price. And if you really know you want to be part of it, please speak to me. Email me, eimear@stassen.co.uk, and we will have a chat about other options, because you will know, hand on heart, if you are meant to be in this circle. So we can click here for payment options, and I will pop this in the chat as well for you so that it's there. It feels magical. Yes, it is. Michelle, fellow witch. And Helena, this sounds so glorious, a retreat container. Yay for the torch holders. Thank you. Thank you so much, Helena. Fellow torch holder as well. So I say it's open to 13 witches, and we have one space taken. So 12 witches, join us. Resurrect your gold. Step into the mentorship for witches. And these are your payment options. And as I say, email me if you want to speak about other payment options. So that is Act 3 in our live storytelling session. So let me know what you think. What questions do you have? What is moving through you right now? And I will address them in our final 3 minutes. I'm amazed with how I've kept to this time. And I'll put the payment link in the chat on YouTube as well. Hi, Panya. Welcome here. Witches rise up. Oh, yes. Absolutely. And this is how we are doing it, by claiming our gold and letting that flow through us. Willow sounds and feels amazing in ear. Yes, it is. So yeah, we have time in our final few minutes for any questions, insights. How are you? Michelle, sadness. I know I'm unable to journey with you, and I will be with you in spirit. You most certainly will, Michelle. Michelle is part of our Witches Rise Up program, and you are already with us in spirit and doing the work, which is amazing. So thank you. And I'm honoring that sadness as well that's flowing through you. Gorgeous. Anisha, how exciting for the 13 witches that join you. So many blessings. Yes, it really is. And it feels like important work to be called to step into this space. So, shall we close our third act, Act 1, 2, and 3, in this beautiful spiral journey? Thank you all for being with me on this writing series. It's been amazing. It's been tough at times when you're writing every day, every weekday, because some days you think, I've nothing to write about. And there's always something, you know, there's always something. So it's been a real deepening for me personally. And it's wonderful to have that container that I've got to share the writing. That commitment is to all of you. So it was really wonderful to share that. So yes, I would love to hear. Oh, Francesca, you will hear from me next week. Thank you. Can't wait. Thank you, Leslie Ann. And if you want to share one word of what today has brought you in this session, that would be beautiful in the chat. Just one word of what this has brought you. And then we will blow out our candle to complete the spiral and to close out this container. So Leslie Ann is sharing joy, Yes. Welcome, joy. Francesca, awareness and determination. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Blessed. Willow, you are blessed. Safra, inspiration. Oh, yes. Michelle, grief, but love. Thank you. Gorgeous. My word is peace, actually. Peace. So thank you all for being here. Pauline, Irish shenanigans. Oh, yes. Thank you. We need that too. Pauline from our witch's well of inspiration. Wonderful. Love to you, Michelle, and magical ones. Willow, peace. Yes. Ace. Ace in the peace. I love the way you do that. Gorgeous. And everyone watching the replay, get in touch. Let me know your one word and what is flowing through you and how I can support you. Do you feel called to step into this sacred container? Are you one of the 13 witches? Or would you like support in another way through soul-based coaching? Just send me an email. I'm here. I am here to support you. Take care. Thank you, everyone. It's been absolutely fabulous, and enjoy the rest of your day and evening. And remember, you are gold as your story continues to unfold. So much love.